Student focus. Welcome. It's that time of the month. Your T's like, don't clap in front of your mic.
Yeah, I know. Welcome, everybody, to June. Wow, this year is going by way too fast.
Almost half done. Well, I guess Noah, almost half done.
Almost half done. Yeah, June 2019 Student Focus. Welcome here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4,
5, 6.
I think I see 6.
Six.
In there.
Yep.
Yeah. So six videos to go over. A couple repeat people and
A couple new people, I think.
a couple new people. Yeah.
One, at least one. No, two. At least one new person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it. I'm really excited. These are always super fun. And they always end up going really long. So we'll try and keep things concise, but at the same time, if we have stuff to talk about, we will talk about it.
Stuffo.
And I have mostly very short notes for each person. So.
Yeah, I don't have a lot because a lot of the things people submitted were pretty good. So, but I do have like the feel good / make you thankful email of the month. Not that it's a thing that we do every month, but I wanted to read it to you guys because it made me feel really good. It made me really stop and be thankful for what I have and things like
Cool.
that. So, this is from, I don't know if I should say it was from or not. I'll leave the name out.
Yeah.
So, Dear Mr. Savage, I teach special needs children. One of my students expressed interest in learning guitar, and I am an accomplished guitarist, 12-string. Due to a stroke, then melanoma surgery resulting in lymphedema, I have been unable to play, but I can still teach, though no longer play myself. Your lessons have greatly helped one young man who came to me at the age of 12. He was suicidal, being horribly bullied in school, and I additionally teach him all of his other subjects. Thank you so much for your passion and your skill. It is greatly encouraged not only to me, but this precious young man. God bless you, Mr. Savage. So,
wow.
First of all, thank God I don't have like those physical problems. Second of all, it's really nice to be able to help somebody with special needs kind of indirectly, even if I didn't know about it, but somebody's like using it to help teach guitar,
so
which
cool.
And like learning guitar is a great outlet, especially if you're having a rough time in school, which I don't know about you, man, but in school all I did was like do what I had to do, and then I would go home and play guitar.
Right. Yeah, I was
That's
pretty
all
much
I
in
would
the
do.
same boat.
Like I would play baseball and basketball because that's mostly because parents were encouraging me, okay, you have to pick one.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah.
But that email made me feel really good, so I thought I would share it with the community.
It's a cool story.
Cool.
That was really worth sharing. That was awesome. Kind of hard to segue out of that, but
So what are you thankful for today? Think about that. That's your assignment before you practice guitar. Sit down and write down a few things you're thankful for.
I think that's a good idea. That's a really cool idea.
Cool. I say we get right into it.
I agree. Let's get right into it with the very first one. I think the first one, are they in the order? I
think they're in alphabetical order.
So.
It should be from Irwin Wright T. Irwin, 1957. Let's take a look.
Let's do it.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I'll give you some backstory on his journey. When he first came to us, he was really struggling with his timing a lot, and he came to the realization through just the Guitareo members area and acoustic guitar made easy that he needs to go back and concentrate on a few of the basics, including timing, strumming, chord changes, right? That's what he's been doing the past couple of months, and I think it's really helped a lot, because if you saw his first videos that he submitted, or even just posted in the forums, like the timing was really an issue. And I don't even think it was necessarily that he couldn't have good timing. It was the fact that he just wasn't being aware of it and consciously working on it. So this is a big step in the right direction. I think your timing has gotten a lot better since the last time you submitted a video. I think you're being a lot more conscious of it, especially counting out loud. Like even if you speed up or slow down, sometimes you're being aware of it and you're correcting yourself, which is really good. Like, and then the next thing I would recommend doing is to kind of take this to the next level. Is number one, isolate your chord changes from your strumming. So you might be doing this stuff already. I'm not sure because those are really short videos, like 2 minutes long, I think.
Yeah.
in total. But really isolate. Don't even worry about your chord changes. Just get really obsessive about listening to that click and make sure it's lining up with down and up strokes. And you're doing quarter notes there. And you can also do half notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the eighth notes 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So doing note value variations and only concentrating on your right hand is the next thing to refine your timing even more. And as you do that, slow down to like 60 or 70 beats per minute. Start there and go through half notes, whole notes, eighth notes, then back down, and then move up to 70 beats per minute and do the same thing: half notes, whole notes, quarter notes, up and then back down, and then go to 80 and then 90, 100, to wherever it starts to fall apart. But that's the way you kind of take it to the next level and get your timing to where you don't have to think about it as much and you can concentrate on your chord changes. And your chord changes were smoother too. I noticed that, so it's really good. Let me see if I'm forgetting anything. Just work on timing, go down the timing, subdivide the beat. Yeah, and one thing, another tip, as you implement these next level things on your timing, as you go to slower BPM, like 60 or 70 beats per minute, you're going to want to, instead of just counting out loud, 1, 2, 3, 4, you're going to want to like count the ands out loud too for slower tempos: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and keep some other part of your body moving besides your hand that's making the strumming. So really good job, man. I've seen concentrating and getting like really focused on one area playing like this is the way to progress, and that you're doing that. And I think over the next month or two, you're going to get to the point where like you can start to focus on other things even more. So
Yeah, a lot of the stuff Nate said I would echo. The one thing now, I don't know if you would agree with this necessarily, but one of the things that helps me so much with my timing, like if I'm, let's say the song is slower. So if something is slower, the slower the metronome is, it actually becomes harder and harder to line up. Even though it's like, okay, I'm slower, it should be easier. The problem is there's so much space between the beats sometimes that it can be hard to like nail it every time, right?
it's like my friend who lives up here, we were touring in the US, and he's like, these miles are so long, what the heck? It takes forever to get to the next one. It's the same thing.
It's the
Kilometers come a lot quicker.
Exact same idea. So one of the things that I will do, this happens a lot, like when I'm recording something, I want it to be perfect, I will take the metronome and I'll just double it. So the quarter notes stay the same in my head. So if I'm counting something that's like 1, 2, 3, 4, the metronome is still going to go, right? But I'm still going 1, 2, 3, 4. But what happens is because your point of reference, there's one in between, it all of a sudden gives you like a cheat as to when the next one will come a lot quicker. So to me, what you're doing, I would say, I agree with Nate, I think maybe stop because your chord transitions are actually really good. Like I don't see an issue with that at all. But I would maybe either just hold one chord or I would mute like that. And if you're noticing when you listen back at your playing that you're not perfectly on those quarter notes, if you're doing 60, let's say, try 120, and then still do the quarter notes. Don't go like, don't do that, right? You're not playing the eighth notes. The idea is that you're still playing this, and it's going. And to me, that's way easier. I don't know if is that the same thing?
It's the same thing. Like, that's a way of training yourself to internalize that feeling of, or counting out loud of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And yeah, I think it's a good little tool to get there.
Yeah, and over time, I mean, you can go the Jake Wiens thing where he talks about less and less and less. You would keep dividing out. You do 30, then you do 15, right? Which is crazy. But all in all, nice job. Like huge improvement.
Good progress.
Really nice. Sweet.
Next video, Les Johnson. Okay, some Zepp for you. Andrew, why don't you start this one?
Sure. I really like to see how far like Les has come with this type of playing because it's very much in my wheelhouse. Like I love that style. Like it's very blues rock oriented kind of thing. So I actually don't have like. There's a couple bends where I was like, oh, they could have used vibrato, and then you played some other bends with great vibrato. So then it's like, oh, that was maybe a creative choice that you made. Yep. So I can't really criticize that or say like, oh, that should have had vibrato because you kind of made that choice. Let's just look at my notes here. Your muting is really good. So a lot of the phrases and stuff that you're playing, I've noticed there's no open strings ringing out, or very rarely open strings ringing out, and you're kind of like isolating. You're doing like a slight stop in between a lot of the notes, which makes everything sound very clean, which I really liked. And I think there was, especially towards the end of the clip we just saw, there was maybe some timing stuff that kind of fell off a little bit. For the most part, I thought the timing was really on, which I thought was really good. And I would say the next kind of logical step in what I would think, if you're gonna add that to your own playing, some of those licks, you can actually just take and put them in another key with a different time signature or different BPM, and they're gonna sound awesome over different stuff. And so I would recommend, there's a couple of those licks that I just thought were like, it's like, oh, those are really cool, and you already know how to physically play them. So take those and put those in other keys. That's what I was doing, because that was in, what was it?
I don't know.
I think it might have been in D minor. But you could play, I can't play any of those licks, I've never learned that song, but if you're playing like, you can do it. So you can do a lot of, like those aren't the exact same licks, but you can do a lot of the same licks if you just transpose it to a different key and just know the scale shape. Other than that, the improvised stuff, some of it, I would say, think about the note you land on over the chord that's being played. Because I think there's a couple times you landed on a note that didn't make a ton of sense with the chord that was being played. I think it was some of maybe, I think there was some improvised stuff in there, right?
I thought it was all note for note. I can't remember.
I think there might have been some improvised stuff in there, and I thought there's a couple notes where it was like, it's in the key, I would have chosen a different note. But really good. What do you have to say, Nate?
First of all, great job learning that particular song, because I know, well, Les kind of went through the same journey 2 or 3 years ago of timing. He started off like working on his timing, something that he really needs to nail down. He's been working on that, put in the work, and that's what it looks like years later, right?
Yeah.
As far as the timing that Andrew mentioned, I think the only place where, I don't want to say it fell apart, but the only place you could use some polishing are on the parts that maybe you're not, like I've learned it, but I don't have it down like the back of my hand learned it. And when that happens, when I'm thinking about playing something like that, I'm not necessarily thinking about time. I'm thinking, oh crap, what notes do I hit?
Yeah.
Right. So I think that stuff would clear itself up like with just another week or two of work or going through this, right? So for what that's worth. But timing overall was good. There were just a few spots on a little bit faster licks where it kind of went like this.
Yeah.
But you got back in. So
Yep.
Let's see. At first I thought you were playing along to a jam track. I was like, where'd you get the jam track? And then I heard this thing, I was like, oh, he's just playing along to the track, which is cool. It's great. Like learning songs, best thing you can do after, like once you get to Les's level, like, okay, I know my scales, I know how they're made.
Yeah, I agree.
I like the fact that you change pickups to get different sounds. Several times throughout there. And I've been thinking about that a lot more. I watched a lot of Pete Thorne live streams lately.
Yep.
And he's talking about changing pickups and backing off in volume, especially on like a Les Paul type setup.
Okay.
So we can have both on. And like,
Yeah.
just back off of the neck pickup.
Yeah.
Or just back off of the bridge pickup to get different tones. But one thing you will want to consider, especially when you record stuff, when you're playing, because that just destroys, like if you're going like that. And I am guilty of that because I was recording something, I think the night before last, and I was like, it was like gainier. And every time I would be like prepping for something, I'd be like, man, I just keep digging my hand in the strings of the pickups, right?
Yeah.
So you just have to be like, instead of, I don't know if you can hear it out there, but there's a big clunk.
Yeah, I can
every
hear it
time.
in here for sure.
Every time I do that. So that's one thing just to clean up your playing in general. And it's the thing about that is just you have to know what you're playing really well, and you have to have a really light touch. if you like stress out, like, oh, I gotta play this fast, you're gonna like dig in, and it's gonna be a lot harder to get that kind of really clean parts in between the notes. Let's see. I think, and this comes back also to maybe like you haven't been playing the song that long, but a few parts I would like to see a little more conviction in it. But again, that's not your playing. I think it's just a matter of like if you do this song for another 2 weeks, then you wouldn't be thinking about the notes quite so much. You'd be more free to be like, oh, I'm just expressing myself. Mm-hmm. All right, that's it. I thought you did a really good job.
Yeah, I really liked it.
Cool. Matt S is the next one, and this is just some triad exercises. Okay, first of all, great job on like learning and applying those triads. Like, I wish I would have jumped into that kind of stuff when I had been playing guitar as long as you. For those of you who don't know, Matt S has only been playing guitar for a couple, 2-3 years, something like that.
Yeah.
So really good job on that.
Progress.
You got a looper pedal. I was excited to see that.
Cool.
That's awesome. Awesome practice tool. As far as the playing on some notes on the triads, the notes weren't really clear on top. So if you're going. And sometimes I think it was the strumming. Just a little more conviction or preciseness with strumming. But sometimes I think it was the fretting on, especially on these two. Just a second. Brand new set of strings. I just did a video on what to do when you break a string in a live situation this morning. So, okay. So, on that, when you're playing on top there, hit my main pedal. Just make sure, check each one. It's ringing out clearly. And then just make sure you have the conviction on the strumming. If you want it to sound softer, that's what you intended, that's fine. Just make sure all the notes are ringing out. Let's see what else do I have here. I guess the next step, because you're... What key am I playing in? C minor. The next step is, because you're obviously getting the shapes, where the shapes are memorized. So D minor, F, and G. Next, well, two things. I just thought of another thing to tell you. Next thing is, so for the D minor, maybe just make a loop of D minor and go, oh, sorry, C minor. I keep saying D, but it's C. So C, and then find the next C. And then find the next C. And then G. I just went major there for some stupid reason. Oh no, I didn't just hit a second instead of a third. Anyway, so you want to, like, the next thing is find where all the C minors are on those 3 strings, and then F. Then G's. And then at the same time, start trying to kind of sing lines at the same time. This is like where I'm at in my playing. I'm trying to be able to sing with this idea. And still, you were going back and forth between like triad and then and pentatonics, which is great. For something like this, you can play a C minor scale. 6, 1, 2. But you're gonna run into trouble with a progression like this when you're playing an F major and a G major over a C minor. So you'll be able to think just C minor. Maybe you'll have to play like an F major pentatonic, or you can change this F chord to an F minor and then a G minor.
Yeah.
And then a C, D, E, F, G. You'll be able to play a C natural minor scale over that too. So if you play just kind of a combination of like the triad thinking, trying to play a melody outside of the C minor scale that's just out of my head, and then thinking either C minor pentatonic or C minor scale. And that's like the next steps. And you can really isolate it. Just do like a C to start with, C minor. Just loop that, and then loop a C minor and the F, and then eventually C minor, F minor, G minor.
Yep.
Takes it to the next level, man. That's all there is to it. But you're doing a great job.
Very nice job. I have very little to say. He has a very good sense of timing. Just like a natural sense of timing.
Way better than mine was until like
At
3 years
that
ago.
point, yeah, like I was watching your right hand when you're playing that type of stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, it's spot on. It's just about lining now everything up perfectly. One thing I noticed that you're doing, which takes people so long to do, and you're doing it, you're bouncing your fingers to mute. So he's going,
Yeah.
if you can see on the camera, I'm like bouncing my fingers up and down like that. So you can see I'm releasing and putting on pressure. He's doing that, which is very hard to do early on. And what it does is allows you to kind of get it.
Style.
Yeah. So you have those little clickies in there. And what it also does is, so when you're going, instead of, or I can't, it's such a habit.
Yeah. Puts rests in there. Yeah.
So super impressed that you're able to do that. That's crazy to me. As far as the playing goes, now I'm just not an arpeggio player. I kind of technically do. Like I'll play. So like if you like play a C minor,
Sure.
I'll play like. So I'm kind of technically playing what's mostly an arpeggio, but really like I'm thinking like.
So the pentatonics with little color notes, which is basically like 7th arpeggios with color notes.
Yeah, so it's just my mind doesn't process that information that way, but essentially that's kind of what's happening. So I can't really speak to the arpeggio playing just because it's not how I play. But when it comes to the more pentatonic-based stuff, what I recommend is similar to what I recommended to Les, but try and find like a couple blues guys or something where it's like you really like a lick and try and learn it. I mean, a lot of them are very easy. Not like it doesn't even need to be a fast one. It can be like a B.B. King lick, right? Like something like that. But if you have, and you just get that down, get the facility totally down, and then what will happen is no matter what the rhythm is, no matter what key we're playing in, like Nate, if just play in a random key and anything, it doesn't matter. Okay, so just playing an A minor, right? right? So it's like play like random stuff. But the idea is like if you just get a couple little licks down on top of, because it can be really hard. I found especially for my own playing, it's like, okay, I know the scale that I'm supposed to just like play in, but it can be really hard to be like, well, now I'm supposed to come up with my own musical ideas. It's like, okay, do I go? You know, like just playing random notes.
And it sounds like Prague jagged.
Yeah, right, it does.
Angular, yeah.
So it's like, so what you can do is you learn, let's say like that one lick. So what did I put? Right? Yeah. And then it's like, and then around it, I'm gonna add other notes. So it's like, so if Nate was playing a D minor right now, or C minor, sorry, I'm doing the same thing you are. Right, so we have our little lick, but we could. So you can see,
Color notes.
yeah, so all I really am doing is I play that one lick that I know, let's say I learned from a B.B. King song that was in a different key, and I transpose it because most of those blues guys are playing in position 1 minor pentatonic scale. Most of them are. And I'm taking that, I'm changing the key of it, and then I was just playing like random notes around it. It's like all of a sudden my playing at least is like a little more interesting than just all random notes. And eventually you can stack a lot of those together, and then you'll kind of turn some of those licks into like your own thing. That would be my recommendation.
Like what was that in C?
Yeah.
Okay, so was that? So like to me, I'm working to get in towards the point where I know that's 3, 4, 5, flat 7 up to 1.
Right.
And like when I hear that, or when I hear it in my brain, I'm like, I know exactly where to go. And if I want to go to a 4. Like, see, I've been working on the position below that.
Yep.
And I know now that the 1 is here, in that position, here, and here. Right?
Yep.
There for that one. But so, like, that's what I've been working on, and that's what I'm going to be working on for the next 6 months. To where I can hear any blues like in my head and just be like, I know where I can play that.
That's cool.
You can do that, man. That's a gateway to a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah, no doubt it is. But yeah, I love when Matt sends stuff in because it's just very impressive to see every single week.
It's a good variety too.
Month, I guess. Yeah, big time.
Cool.
Because yeah, he did like what was a
Foo Fighters
like
a couple
Foo
times
Fighters
ago.
thing, and then there was I can't remember what the last one was. I have to go dig back through.
Oh, just some John Mayer, I think too.
I think you're right. Yeah. So next one.
Yeah, Norm G's video starts at 24 seconds T. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but cool. Last time, me or you?
I think it's my turn.
Okay, cool.
I think. So honestly, I have very little to say.
It was pretty grooving.
Super impressed. Like to get that shuffle, like
it sounded like you're conjuring up the spirit of the snare drum inside of your guitar.
I was so impressed. Like I was looking at your right hand was so loose and just fluid, and it looked so easy for you. Chord changes, Maybe there's a couple where all the fingers didn't change at once, but I do that too. Like
do
I
that
think
too,
we
unless
all
I'm like
right?
filming a video or
Exactly.
in the studio.
But like, so I wouldn't even say that that is that much of a problem. I liked how you used the C. I think you're playing capo 3 C, but I'm not gonna. I have a capo, but it doesn't matter. With the G down there, which makes it sound bigger and fuller.
I love that.
And it's cool because it saves you from having to mute that string, and so you don't have to think about when you play that chord. Like with the D, yeah, you have to think because you don't really have a solution. Like you either mute all the way over there or you have to be accurate. But with the C, it's like, oh, well, now I don't have to worry about muting this string because you just. It sounds way more full. I thought that was really cool.
I thought it sounded like the style was there and the rhythm was really there.
Yeah, big time. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything, but I was just really blown away. I was just like, his thumb's like in the perfect spot, like it kind of is in the back, and then it creeps up for some chords, which is like if you eventually want to start
That's
using your
fine,
thumb,
yeah.
you can do, which is totally fine. Super impressive.
The only thing I would say is suggesting to take it to the next level, and that's just hitting the individual bass notes. But like folk music like that doesn't always do that. Get rid of some of this volume. Because you're hitting, when you're strumming, you're hitting like the bottom couple few strings. And if you want to just like refine it a little bit. But that's just something, like if you want to tackle that, that's something that I would recommend doing, because if you're playing that style of music, you're definitely going to be using that kind of skill where you have to hit certain bass notes, not aggressively, accurately, as opposed to hitting like.
Okay, yeah.
And then that's especially handy, like if you're in a situation where you don't have a full band or a bass player backing you up, or like a piano player, and you need to kind of fill both, and then you need to give that.
Yeah.
And then the little bluegrass fill. That wasn't really bluegrass, though. That was more folk. So that's really all I have to say. It's just like, okay, great job. Like if you want to take it to the next level, try to get a little more
definitely
precise
ready.
with your bass
Yeah.
notes. Yeah.
Nice job.
It's nice to see without any shoulder brace on too.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Very nice.
Cool. Tim DHYCIX is the next video, and I think this is his first one, I believe. So let's give this a watch.
I think he did one more.
Okay. Second. Cool. Awesome, man. Nice to see some metal in there.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I'm a closet death metal fan, but I like death metal. Like with the
Okay. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
tremolo picking
Yep.
type of stuff. So good job on that. I actually like the tone quite a bit. Nice veteran practice tone. For the lead picking part, I would say I would spend a little bit of time over the next couple months working on syncing up your left and right hands. So when you're going through like a scale or anything, I don't know the lead line you're doing, but here's the difference. Like that's okay, but it's not quite synced up.
Right.
That's synced up. Everything's precise, really sharp. And one way to do that is to just take the tiniest scale fragment, just 3 notes. And just pick through it and slowly speed it up. Let's slow it back down. And you're gonna come to a point where it starts to fall apart, like that. And that's where you know, okay, I need to take a little more time, ramping it up, be a little more precise, stay really relaxed. Slow it back down. And you're gonna notice, it's hard, you can't really use a metronome to do this kind of practice because you're speeding up and slowing down, but you will notice like, hey, I'm tensing up, or things are starting to get out of sync, and just doing like that and starting very slowly, and like over 2 minutes, getting fast and then speeding it up. You know, taking your time with it will really help you sync up your left and right hands a little bit better. And you can take any scale shape that you want, even if you're doing more like a tune-up per string pentatonic thing, which is harder for me.
Yeah.
Any combination of those, but just like slowly ramping it up and then coming back down and seeing how the sync does, and train yourself to get control over, you know, matching this hand with this hand is a really good exercise too. I think that'll help clear a lot of that stuff, like the single note stuff up. The only other thing I have for this is really kind of subjective.
Okay.
When you're doing the I shouldn't be on the middle pickup doing
It's
that.
like tasty. Very surf rock when you play it like that.
Yeah, no kidding. When I noticed that, and this isn't wrong or bad, just make sure you're doing it intentionally. When you're kind of pulling back like this, and then using just your wrist, like I find that super hard to get any kind of speed out of. Just like that. What a lot of people do is they plant their wrist on the bridge and then kind of get that
You're
pendulum
forward.
going. Yeah. I mean, I'm still using my wrist,
You are, yeah.
but I'm using more like a rotational movement, and I'm using my arm. So just play around with that. Play around with not pulling your. I do know people that play like this. Rob Chapman used to play like this.
Okay.
A lot.
He
might
changed,
still.
yeah.
He changed, I think, a little bit. But as long as you're doing it intentionally, that's great. But this is just a few things to experiment around with. Experiment with putting your wrist on the bridge and flattening out your hand, not pulling his back as much, and then not using just your wrist. And then experiment, go back to it, see which one feels better.
The problem with this one is it does get, the technique, you have to change it as you move up to different strings.
Yeah, it makes it really hard to, you can't.
You'd have to do a whole different technique.
Yeah.
So if you build the technique with it the second way you showed,
Yeah.
it works on all the
But
strings.
yeah, if you are playing death metal and that's one of the things, you just like the way that feels, then that's what it is. What it is. Just make sure, you might notice now that Andrew said that when you move up to the higher strings, things kind of get out of whack. You can't pick as fast or something like that. So it's not really anything, change this or this. It's more like a, hey, here's the world of possibilities. Just start experimenting to make sure the way you're playing is the best for you.
Nice.
Cool.
Nate covered most of the stuff. I thought, to me, the lead part, because your hands were pretty darn synced in the rhythm parts. Like, rhythmically, you have a very good sense of rhythm. Like, with your right hand, like, it was, like, spot on. Maybe some of the chord transitions were maybe a little bit slower later on. There was a little bit of, like, uncertainty, which I think just comes with knowing it probably more.
Sure.
I would say.
You may have been improvising for all I know, right?
Totally. But with that lead part, to me, it just seemed like it just needed more time. Because I think a lot of your facility is there. I was like, oh, are his fingers flying really far away? Not bad at all. Picking technique looked very minimal movements, which I really liked. And you looked like you had no problem with the accuracy there. So to me, it's like, okay, you're just about speeding up that left hand. Slow it down, slap a metronome on, get it perfect with the metronome at a slower pace than what you're playing it at right now, and then just jump up in little increments, and I think you'll have that down in no time.
That's one thing that I did forget to say is I would like to see like a video like this with a drum machine or metronome. That way it's a little bit hard to tell if it's really steady or if it's going up and down. So just next time, if you want to throw a drum machine or a metronome on, that'd be great.
Yeah, there's lots of, like, I think even free online apps, not only that'll do metronome, but that'll do like a drum machine thing for you. So you just Google it, you'll find it pretty easily. I use them for practice and stuff all the time.
I am the last one.
The last one. Oh, I'm excited for this one. Okay, sweet.
Cool. This is WI11.
Night falls, and I'm alone. Skin, yeah, chills me to the bone. You turned and you ran. Oh yeah, oh slid right from my hand. Hey, blue on black, tears on a river, push on a shove, it don't mean much. Joker on jack, match on a fire, gold on ice, a dead man's touch. Whisper or a scream, doesn't change a thing, doesn't bring you back. Blue on black.
Cool.
Nice. I'll go first.
Go ahead.
I don't have a lot to say with this one either, because I, first of all, love that song.
Yeah, no
Such a
kidding.
good song.
Brings back good memories, man.
Your voice really suits the song. As far as your guitar playing goes, there's not a lot I can really say. Like, your strumming looked great, chord changes were really good. I did notice sometimes you would slow down the song and then do, like, for a chord change. So we say it all the time, but maybe practice the song with a metronome on or something.
That was one of my only main points. Is like I would love to hear this with just the drum beat.
Totally.
Yeah.
And the thing is sometimes like a metronome can make it just like, especially if you're performing something, because to me that's like a performance. Like that's
Yeah.
something someone would upload to YouTube and show the world.
I would
kind of
expect to
thing.
see that as a cover on YouTube.
Exactly, and it's like, man, that's a great cover. So you don't want a metronome playing for something like that.
Yeah.
But I know for me, like before I go on to, if I'm gonna like record something and show somebody, it's like, well, when I'm practicing it, it's like I metronome the crap out of it. So
Yeah.
then when the metronome is gone, it's like that internal time and all the muscle memory is still linked to that metronome. So I would try that. Obviously, it's not gonna be as fun, but a drum beat, if you have like a way to do like a good sounding drum beat under there and stuff like that with like drums and bass would have sounded really, really cool.
Especially like just for educational
Yeah.
purposes, right? Like if you're like he said, if you're using this for like YouTube cover uploads, then I would not have put a drum machine.
No, no, totally. And then the only other thing, and this is just, again, up to you because you have a really cool singing style. But one of the things I notice is sometimes you're not quite hitting the note because you're not opening your mouth enough. And this is just like from my years of vocal
I'm
lessons
guilty
that I
of
took.
that, 100%.
I think it's usually like a self-trained probably thing more than anything. And you don't want to, obviously, you're not trying to be an opera singer, so you're not trying to like open your mouth up wide and put a golf ball in the back of your throat, like that whole thing. But on some of those notes, if you notice, if you listen back and you're like, maybe that note isn't quite perfect, just try opening up your mouth a little bit more. A lot of times it like allows that note to come out more clearly. Just a suggestion, totally up to you if you want to do it, because I think your style of singing like is awesome and really fits what you're doing. That's all I have to say. Very nice job.
Yeah, I echo everything Andrew just said. The only thing I would add to that, like besides using a metronome or in this case a drum track, just for our sake, so we can hear how your timing is. Overall, I thought it was good, but maybe try to put a little more shape into your strumming, like how horn players shape their lines when they play.
Nice.
And so instead of so they're very straight and. And I even went back and listened to Kenny Shepard playing this, and he has a little bit. It's the dynamic's pretty high all the time on acoustic because he's digging in, but there is a little bit of percussive, like how the downbeats for the snare are
Yeah.
louder.
Yeah.
So just making that accent can give a little more life to it. And you said in the forum when he submitted this post, he's like, "Oh, the one criticism I have already is smile more, right?" And I'm not going to criticize that because we're talking about playing guitar here, but
Yeah.
you're right. If you want to be a performer, smile, put more emotion into that strumming by shaping it, and
Yeah.
put more emotion like committing to the performance. But that's if the performing isn't your goal, like
Yeah.
as far as being a singer is, ignore what I just said. But if it is, be a little more intentional and intense about it.
Now this is totally up to you, but I would highly suggest checking out like some open mic nights or something.
If you're not already doing it, yeah.
If you're not already doing, yeah, you totally might be. But there's no reason why like a performance like that. And you did. You sent one in not last time, but I think the one before. What song was it?
I can't remember, but it was like the
Simple
vocals were
Man.
nice. Simple, yeah.
Man. And like those two songs, go to an open mic night and try them out there. It's playing live is a very different world than playing at
Yeah.
home.
You're gonna expose your weaknesses very quickly.
But it's
Yeah.
so rewarding. I think you'd have a ton of fun and you'd kill it.
If you're not already doing it, and if you are, hopefully open mics will lead you to people you can play with and start doing cover band stuff because I think you should be.
Yeah, I think you should be too. Yeah, very nice job, man. Very nice. Okay, well that brings us to the end of another student focus. That was good. Those are always so much fun.
There.
So thank you guys for sending those in.
Submitting. Tomorrow I will put up in maybe even this evening, I'll put next month's student focus forum thread up and you can submit there.
Sweet.
Got 1 month, man. 1 month from today.
And don't be afraid to, if you guys want to submit something else and you've submitted something this month,
Yep,
we usually
go for
show
it.
priority to like newer people, but no problem bringing in people who've done it before.
Yep.
It's always fun for us.
We've proved that we can fit 9 people into 1 hour.
That's
so.
right, yeah. Oh, yeah, that was a marathon.
Okay, so here's the jam for today.
Okay, ready.